What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. I'm going to give you the latest information about the negotiations going on between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi from the Democrats and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin from the Republicans. And also, I have some surprising news regarding President Donald Trump that is, if you look at it, it's actually kind of crazy what's happening. I'm going to give you all the details of it in this video. But first, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. This way you won't miss out on new videos regarding the second stimulus check update and the 2020 election that is coming up in just 4 days now at this point. Also, I want to say we will be having a couple Halloween extras in some of the upcoming videos, including Julian's Halloween costumes. He has 2 different ones. I will be showing you guys that. Julian is our son. So we will be having some Halloween surprises for you. Okay, first up, let's see what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has to say regarding the second stimulus check negotiations.
Today, we got news about the GDP numbers in the United States, which were a record up. They were up 33%. Does that make you think maybe we may not need the stimulus quite as much as we did?
No, in fact, it is proof that we need the stimulus even more so. The reason we had a better second quarter than was a better third quarter is because what we did in the CARES Act and the following subsequent legislation for PPP that put money into the economy. Now people are coming, that's going to wear off and we need another infusion. So it's not a question of we don't need it. It's a question of it proved that it worked and now we need it more. But understand that what happened in the second quarter was so horrible. You know that. So we've come part of the way back from that, and we have to keep on a path of going forward rather than sliding back by not having another COVID injection of funds into the economy.
So I'm very curious because you have such an important say in the economy and how it's governed, where it goes. How do you make sense of the numbers? Because as I say, the GDP number really came back strongly. The stock market, although it's down this week, actually has been doing fairly well over the last few months. At the same time, we have 11 million people still unemployed. We still have stories of people having extreme difficulties. Do we have two economies going on in this country?
Well, let me just say that the number I think that is staggering is that we have more people unemployed and more people on unemployment benefits than any time in our country's history. We know that the Fed is shoring up the market so that the stock market can do well. I don't complain about that. I want the market to do well. But just because we've come back some points this morning does not negate the fact that we're, almost 1,900 points down for the past 4 days. So the Fed is reacting to the fact that the virus is spreading. The Fed is reacting, the markets are reacting to the fact that the virus is spreading. It's reacting to the fact that there is no agreement to inject the resources necessary to support the lives, the livelihood, and the life of our democracy, as I say over and over again. So we do need that public role once again. Right now, and when we need it for state and local government, according to the Wall Street Journal, said that this is the biggest cash crisis for the states and local governments since the Great Depression.
And what she's talking about there is new recent data that the U.S. states, the states and cities themselves, are facing their new biggest cash crisis since the Great Depression, that they're going to have shortages of billions and hundreds of billions of dollars that they need to make up at some point. Most of this is due to just a shortage in tax revenue and sales tax revenue because there's just not enough spending going around because we're basically still in a recession. And if this virus continues to spread and we continue to see these new U.S. lockdowns in the U.S. that's going on right now, all the way from New York City to Texas and now New Jersey, we're seeing several different areas with brand new lockdowns in the U.S. If that continues to go that way into the winter, then we're likely to see it get even worse.
So there are all kinds of things that, some people may brag about an indicator saying this, but we have to wonder what it means in the lives of the American people. And all of the things that we have in our legislation are stimulus to the economy. They are stimuli. If you're talking about unemployment insurance, if you're talking about food stamps, if you're talking about direct payments, you're talking about all of those things, what we want, an earned income tax credit, child tax credit, they all are stimulants. People will spend because they need to inject demand into the economy, create jobs, rather than what it does for a trickle down to have $150 billion going to the wealthiest people in our country. And that's kind of the discussion that we're having. But we have to act. We're at a fork in the road because the path that the president is taking us on has been deadly. When you think that nearly approaching 9 million people affected, nearly 250,000 are dead from this, 8 million people falling back into poverty because the CARES money is running out. Right. 17 million children food insecure in our country, millions of those families on the verge of eviction. The list goes on and on. And the virus continues. We have to crush the virus in order to open the economy and open our schools. The president has taken us on a deadly path. We have to go down a different path that is science-based, that is adequately funded, and is geared to opening the economy as well as our schools and creating jobs for our people.
Now let's hear what Nancy Pelosi says about possibly getting a deal done after the election in what they call a lame duck session if President Donald Trump were to not win the re-election.
Is there any realistic prospect really that this could get done in a lame duck session?
Well, I think so. I think that last weekend when the chief of staff to the president, Mark Meadows, said, we're not controlling the virus, he confessed that they never intended to do so, that they called it a hoax, that it was going to disappear miraculously, magically, and the rest. And what has happened? People have died. And so, again, that recognition that they have surrendered to the virus and we are not, we're there to crush it. Now we can go to the table with a clear understanding in the public mind as to what we need to do. And I had hoped that we could at least have an agreement before the election, but they have not ever responded to, the secretary and I will come to a place of, all right, this is where we could be, but we've never gotten back. 2 weeks ago today, the secretary said that they were willing to accept our testing language with a light touch in the language. The light touch happened to be erasing 55% of it, largely in communities of color who are dying at a higher rate than people who are white. You've heard me say over and over, children who are Black or Hispanic have more, 5 to 8 times more possibility of going to the hospital with COVID than white children. So they erased all of that. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. So now we're saying, okay, you confessed to not controlling it. You understand that we must. Just give us an answer as to whether you agree that we must follow a scientific path, or we're going to continue to go down the quackery path that the president has taken us thus far. So we sent him a letter, which you've probably seen, just said, here are just some of the answers we're expecting. We don't expect them all to be in our favor, but we do expect them to establish a place where we can weigh the equities and come to compromise and negotiate so that we can go forward. And yes, I do think that the president has said we would have an agreement after the election. Of course, he's predicating some of that on the Republicans taking back the House. You just keep thinking that, Mr. President, but is as delusional as you have been in your approach to the coronavirus.
So she calls the president's path to combating the virus quackery. And she also says that President Donald Trump and the Republicans are not going to win the House. Of course, President Donald Trump has said that he thinks they are going to retake the U.S. House of Representatives. And remember, the Democrats are also trying to retake the Senate, of which they only need to flip a few seats to actually take over control of the Senate. Anything can happen in this election. It's going to be a hot one with Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell also both up for re-election. Speaking of that, I am shocked to say that Joe Biden's lead has now dropped in national polling results all the way down to 6%. His lead just a few weeks ago was 14%, then it dropped to 10%, then it dropped to 9%, then it dropped to 8%, and now it's down all the way down to 6%. As you can see here, Joe Biden with a lead in national polls of only 6%, and it's dropping by the day now with only about 4 days left until the election. So we literally could be at a dead even tie by the time actual election day happens. Now, a lot of this is going to come down to the swing states. If you've seen one of my past videos, I said that President Donald Trump actually stopped spending money on advertising in Florida, which is one of the most important swing states. He won that state in 2016. I think it was by like 1%. And he is now losing that state by 3.4%. He was actually up by 1% just a few days ago. But President Donald Trump is gaining in a lot of grounds, with Joe Biden still holding strong in a lot of areas too. But Joe Biden is, like I said, his overall lead has gone from 14% to now down to 6%. And a lot of these battleground states, such as Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, will be the deciding factors possibly of who wins the election, not necessarily the most popular vote. As you know, in 2016, Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote by a few percent. She actually won by 3 million votes, and that was about 3% of 2 or 3% of the actual overall popular votes she won. But she lost because she lost the electoral votes, because it all comes down to basically the swing states. There's always states that will vote Democrat, and there's always states that will vote Republican every single election. But it's those states that could go either way that typically make the difference in the election and turn the tide one way or another. Also, I want to briefly update you guys, for any of you guys who are fans of Star Wars or The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is a spin-off series from Star Wars that is really good. And if you like Star Wars at all, season 2 for The Mandalorian is coming out. It's on Disney Plus. My wife and I and our family were big fans of season 1 of The Mandalorian, and season 2 actually starts today. And this streams on Disney Plus. I think Disney Plus is like $6.99 per month or something like that. And the time of when it's going to be released is actually not been confirmed. We think it's going to be sometime after midnight Pacific time, which is 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there will be one episode per week going forward. And that, of course, is where Baby Yoda comes from. If you haven't seen it, you should, because it's a really good series. And it's not really for like Star Wars geeks or anything like that. I think if you enjoyed the Star Wars movies, I really enjoyed the last Star Wars movie, Star Wars #9. I thought it was one of the best movies I've seen. I think you will really enjoy the Mandalorian series also. So don't forget to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos. I will keep you guys updated regarding the second stimulus check, the second stimulus check negotiations, whether President Donald Trump does decide to try to pass a stimulus check through a presidential executive order. I will announce that as soon as it comes out if he does, and also the 2020 election, which is shaping up to be very close at this point. You can click on these top videos here to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of people that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.